When I was diagnosed with cancer in 2017, I knew that there was something going on, but I didn't realize it was that serious. And so that happens to a lot of people. It's like things don't feel right, something's going on, but it just happens so quickly and you don't know where it came from. It just comes out of nowhere, right? Even though it may have been sitting in there for a while or may have been getting to that point for who knows how long. There's always questions about, how did I do this to myself? What could I have done differently? All those kind of things. And it gets to the point that it's too little too late to ask those questions, but those questions aren't always necessary because, technically, you've been given this gift to make change and to, figure your stuff out. It doesn't feel like it at the time. Definitely not. And I apologize if that seems a little too relaxed for how you may be feeling right now. But once you're through it, you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I was fortunate enough to be introduced to my general surgeon first thing. He was an amazing man who believed in, you understanding what is going on with you. And I was so grateful for that. When I walked into his office, he basically explained what they had found with the lumps in my breast. And he gave me a book and had bookmarked the pages for me and said, "This is your diagnosis. I want you to take this book home, go read it, and then come back in a week and we'll have a discussion on what you want to do." At the time, of course, I was freaking out and extremely unsure of what was going on. But taking that book home gave me enough ammunition to actually be able to make an informed decision. And when you're dealing with something, that serious, you need to know what you're doing. You need to figure out exactly which way you want to go and what you want to do because there are so many options. And, not everybody has the same opinion as you on how you would like to take care of yourself. Now, mind you, I need you to remember and I need you to note that I am not a medical professional. I am not here to give you medical advice. I am just here to give you the 3 main steps that I found worked best for me, that I have utilized in multiple areas and have made suggestion to others because I feel that knowledge is power. And if you've got the power, you can definitely make the proper decisions. So my first suggestion, as the general surgeon helped me to learn, is to research what your diagnosis is. If you've been diagnosed with cancer, if you've been diagnosed with some kind of autoimmune disease, understand what that disease is, where it stems from, why it happens to people that it happens to. You know what I mean? If you understand where it's coming from and where it could potentially go, then you'll be able to make an informed, educated decision on how you want to proceed, especially if you're going to go through different treatments and stuff like that. The sequence may be different for you. The severity may be different for you. So take that time to understand what everything means, and then take the time to reflect and feel and see what's going to be best for you. When I was starting treatment, what they wanted to do and what they suggested was that I have my surgery first. That if I have a lumpectomy or if I had a mastectomy, that I do that first, and then I do chemo, and then I do radiation. During my research, I decided that doing chemo without doing the surgery was going to be best for me. I do have my own reasons for that, and that'll be a totally different podcast. But I decided to go chemo, then surgery, and I decided to opt out of radiation. And then, of course, I was going to take the medication after that they had suggested for the 5 years after I was done. Now, that made sense for me, but I didn't necessarily get support from all of my doctors in that, which was scary. And it was a little bit frustrating, and it made me second guess my decisions. But at the same time, I knew that that's what felt best for me. So that's what I wanted to stick to. So my second piece of advice is to get advice. You are very, very able and capable of asking for a second opinion. So whether that be from another doctor, which I do understand can take some time, but you can go to another doctor and get a second opinion. You can go to your family doctor. I personally used a naturopathic oncologist. I found that her advice was paramount and so important to anything that I did because I felt safe and I felt that there was no judgment. If I wanted to ask questions about what if I did it this way or what if I did it that way, or, what is it going to look like if I don't do radiation, right? And these are big decisions when you're faced with something that everybody's telling you might kill you or make you extremely sick for the rest of your life. So, getting that advice, getting that second opinion, and it can come from multiple places, right? You can look for support groups, you can look for people who have already been through this situation, you can look for, you know multiple different pieces from multiple different people, and then that along with your research can definitely help you put together a plan on what you feel is going to be best for you. So of course, as you're going through, an illness or a sickness, you're not the only one that's going through it, right? You've got people around you who want to support you. You've got people around you who are worried about you. They want to help, they want to guide, they want to do all of the things. So, my third and final piece of advice would be ask for support. Ask for support from the people who are around you, or ask for support from, people who may know a bit more than your family members, from a support group, like I had mentioned before, or just letting people know, what you've been researching, what advice you've gotten. Take someone to the doctors with you to get the advice. You know what I mean? Ask them to support you. And if they're on board and you're on board and you can cohesively be a team together, then you'll be able to lean on them when it starts getting scary if you have other doctors or other people who disagree with your opinion and with your choice on how your medical treatment is going to go. It's one of those things where the practice of medicine is a practice and it needs to be respected for sure. But at the same time, it's not always the be all end all of how things should go and how things could go. It is based on, how do I say this? It is based on what has happened in the past. It is based on statistics. It is based on the general public. It is based on 500 people that have gone through this exact same thing and basically what worked for them as a general whole. But you may be completely different than this. You may be the same. It doesn't matter. But just as long as you feel comfortable with what is happening with you, that's the important part. Sometimes we have to trust in our intuition. The messages and the decisions that pop into our head do not always come from nowhere. So, trusting in that and understanding that whichever direction you decide to go in is going to be one that's going to work for you, right? There's not always going to be a happy ending, but there's not always going to be a detrimental one either. So, take your steps one at a time, one day at a time. Be present in how you're feeling and be open and honest about that. Don't clam up about it. And, just keep voicing your opinion, keep advocating for yourself, and looking for those other support systems if you're having a hard time finding them.